Thank you very much, Mr. President, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As your Toastmaster tonight, I will be responsible for watching, guiding, and managing the affairs of the meeting and the flow. I will be focusing a lot more on the dynamics, and I would make sure that at the end of this meeting, I'm able to provide you all my view of the meeting overall. We are in for a treat tonight because we've got 3 speakers. And as Mr. President said, the theme of this meeting tonight is progress. Everyone wants to progress in life. However, based in my counseling journey, I have found out that some people are making progress, but because the progress is kind of minute to them, they get discouraged. And that's led me into choosing the word exiguous. And exiguous, I'm going to leave it to the grammarian to explain more to us. But I'm here tonight to let you know, even in your Toastmasters journey, you may look at your program and think that, okay, they are small and in minute increments. That's okay. As long as you are better today than you were yesterday. And I am a living witness. And I'm so pleased to be here tonight to be your Toastmaster. It's a huge privilege. Our first speaker tonight is Taylor Duncan, PM5 VC5. And we're so privileged to have Mr. Duncan participate with us tonight at this exiguous meeting. It's exiguous because we're not going to be here all night. We're only here for a specified time period. And of course, we're here also to make progress. And without further ado, here's what you need to know about Mr. Duncan. Taylor Duncan is doing a Zoom across America, journey of 100 speeches in 100 days, in an attempt to inspire and empower, all while raising awareness and acceptance for autism and other disabilities. Tonight, Taylor's speech will be a 6 to 8 minutes speech titled, Powering True Perceptions. In a characteristic manner, please join me in giving Taylor a rousing welcome as he delivers his speech. Taylor, the floor is yours.
November 27th, 1995. The day in which I was born to my parents at Kennestone Hospital in Marietta, Georgia. I was born in seemingly normal shape at a healthy weight of 8 pounds at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yet fast forward nearly 4 years later to the day, my mother begins to see that perhaps something was simply amiss. First, I wasn't talking in complete sentences. Second of all, I had issues with social anxiety, issues which often prevented mother and I from being able to go out in public. And last of all, I often played alone, away from the other children at the time. My mother then took me to the Marcus Institute, located in downtown Atlanta, one of the only autism centers in the entire Southeast region of the country at the time. It was there in which I was diagnosed on the autism spectrum as 1 in 1,000 individuals, children, in the entire United States of America. Soon thereafter, I obviously began experiencing the negative stigmas and perceptions of what one with autism can and cannot accomplish. For example, the doctors, they go over a list of the things with mother that I may never be able to accomplish throughout my life. These included the mastering ability to speak in full sentences, that ability to think coherently in academics, and even graduate school, the ability to perform basic independent living duties, or the ability to hold down a job or romantic relationship. Soon thereafter, the public school system wanted me placed in a special classroom, a classroom so special that it would have segregated me away from the other kids in the general education setting where social development primarily takes place. Yet, My mother would never allow that to happen or to let that become my reality. She never accepted that. As an educator herself, my mother fought against her own employer, her own boss, for me to have the same social development opportunities as every other student at that school. Despite a lack of resources in the rural area we lived in at the time, my mother made the most of her time, taking time with me every single night over the next few years to work with me on different skills that otherwise would have naturally developed in those without a disability. So during this time with hard work and her I can attitude, ta-da! I finally began speaking in full sentences, among finally achieving other developmental milestones. Yes, including improvising really, really bad sound effects. But that's beside the point. I'll give you an example, so to speak, of how I knew that I accomplished so much through the years. It was a reminder in a sense, because I would have those come up to me throughout the years, ever since I've been diagnosed. And nowadays, the same people who were concerned about my ability to speak in full sentences or to hold down a conversation, now they're saying, my gosh, I don't know what I was thinking 20 years ago. Now, and I love you, Taylor, but now I think you talk too much sometimes. I tell you what, that told me right there that a lot of these developmental milestones and that ability to communicate and to make progress is something to never be taken for granted. And I accomplished a lot of progress during the time span of my early childhood from 2000 to 2006. But I also faced a lot of adversity as well. I would begin to be denied opportunities to play on traditional sports teams, alongside denial of the opportunity from developing some friendships, all due to the common negative perception of autism. In fact, in 2006, my mother and I discovered that my teacher and the school system didn't want to provide the accommodations or the necessary actions to help make me successful in academics as I had been in years past, accommodations that were guaranteed to me by federal law. Yet once again, my mother stood up for me in the face of adversity, inspiring me through her example to build resilience and that ability to persevere against bullying from the teacher and from other students. With the help of my mother and the Lord above, I developed that ability and that desire to become an advocate and a mentor, not only for myself, but on behalf of others too, whether you're in LA, Atlanta, or even Sugar Land, Texas. Go Skeeters. Now, in the years since, my mother would take me out of public school to homeschool me. And yeah, I still face negative perceptions and stigmas of autism in society. What's new? Of course. Yet I still held that desire to use my lessons learned in life to help others just like myself, all in order to power through those perceptions, to power through those stigmas. At the age of 20, I started a nonprofit organization, Alternative Baseball, to provide that authentic baseball experience for other teens and adults with disabilities across America, all in an accepting environment where everyone's encouraged to be the best versions of themselves possible and accepted in a viable program environment where they could continue their progress toward independent living after they graduate out of high school. To promote the cause and to emphasize the need for more services in the service deserts, where a lot of adults with disabilities often fall off a cliff once they graduate out of high school, not having the same services available to them in their adult years. I needed to shed any public speaking anxieties I had in order to take my story where it was needed. This, my new friends at Southwest Project Management Toastmasters, is when I soon joined Toastmasters of West Georgia in 2016, where with the help of a mentor and with experience, I not only shed my anxieties for public speaking, but also developed that ability to tell my stories to national outlets across the country. even a TEDx talk in 2019 on promoting awareness and acceptance for individuals with disabilities in life throughout and beyond the wonderful wide world of athletics. But wait, none of this was supposed to happen. Wasn't supposed to speak in full sentences. Wasn't supposed to be included in academics and activities with the normal kids. Ooh. For other naysayers, I wasn't supposed to be leading a nonprofit organization. Yet here I am today, having power through the perception, power through the stigma, power through the stereotype. Thanks to the help of those who believed in me throughout the years, I am where I am today, where I carry the dream, that dedication, the drive, and the desire to continue advocating for others just like myself. Now, why is this important? It's important because we all need to recognize, and I believe we realize down here, that we all deserve a chance to live life to the fullest, free from those stigmas and negative perceptions. When we're able to find the right support system to positively teach and encourage us to become the best versions of ourselves possible, and when we establish those support systems at times, as sometimes we're called to do in life, to mentor others, to advocate for what's right in society, the sky is truly the limit for what can actually be accomplished when we work together, no matter who we are. That's why, to me, that cohesive collective unit together, when we work together to stand up for what's right, and when we stand up for others, and when we mentor others and encourage them on their path to be successful, to follow their own calling in life, that ability, when we all self-advocate and mentor to encourage others to societal barriers, stigmas, and perceptions. Sugarland, it is one of the most truest forms of personal enrichment in all of human mankind. What are you waiting for? Let's work together. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. It's been more than a pleasure.
Thank you, Taylor. I mean, what a great speech. Thank you for sharing those thoughts with us. And please, while Taylor is with us tonight, if you don't mind, Madam or Mr. Timer, who is the time? Okay, yeah, Mr. Timer, please put 1 minute on the clock, and let's spend that 1 minute to provide Taylor our feedback on his speech.
I do have a link that I will put in the chat, and that way, if you go through the Google form and place it there, then that means that I'll be able to save it and be able to keep that and look back on it tomorrow or in the future. So I'll go ahead and put that in there right now. And that is the Google form 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 right now. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is going to be, I like to call him Dr. Jorge Alba. That's who it really is. I mean, you will not know except you read his bio. But since once I know that somebody has a PhD, I like to call them doctor. So Jorge Alba is one of us, is one of our officers, is a committed member of the Southwest Project Management Toastmasters Club. He is a senior engineering manager with the city of Sugar Land here in Texas. He is working on his effective coaching pathway. His presentation tonight is the requirement to complete level 2 on leadership style. He will be discussing the traits and attributes that make a good leader, and he will converse on his own leadership style. Without further ado, please join me in putting your hands together as we welcome Jorge to deliver his speech tonight. Jorge, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Let me share the screen if you don't mind before I start. Okay, do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Excellent, all right. Well, before I start my presentation, just in honor of our guest, Taylor, I choose my background. I hope that he recognized that. Actually, you mentioned I got a PhD. It's a PhD in engineering from Georgia Institute of Technology in Atlanta, Georgia. So I chose that background in honor of our guest. And also to mention to him that the name of our baseball team here in Sugar Land changed from Skitters to Space Cowboys. I don't know if you like that or not, but that's our new baseball team name. Right, so let's start. So most great leaders in the world have a style, leadership style that is unique. And most of that styles are developed based on personalities, experience, even the team that they have led through the years. However, nobody can say that the leadership is unique and only unique to them. Most of the leadership styles are a combination of different type of styles and different factors. How many of you have known a leader that has been a motivator and have inspired you in the past? I bet you that that leader or leaders were those that encourage you and encourage the teams that work with them to improve themselves and to improve the people around themselves. So tonight we are going to explore the qualities that define a good leader. I'm going to provide some clues to identify the different types of leadership styles. And then I'm going to actually talk about my own personal leadership style before I go to the conclusion of this presentation. So the attributes that define a leadership style are not exiguous. There is not a few area of expertise. Actually, there are many. Most effective leaders are effective and good communicators. They lead by example. So an effective abuse communicators, they communicate expectations, goals, plans in a very direct way and in a very good way to mention things that they are thoughtful and direct. They lead by example. They express leadership through words and actions. It's not enough for them to tell you how to do things, but to show you how to do things. They are optimists. They have the ability to focus on the beneficial side of things, of the situation. They always see the positive side of every outcome. And they always found that attitude, that very optimistic attitude to overcome obstacles and adversities. They are open-minded. They don't have an exiguous mind. They always look for new and consider new ideas for new situations without any bias. They listen to others and then incorporate the ideas into their plan. They value the opinion of every member. And then demonstrate integrity. They have integrity and honesty. They give credit to others in whatever they do and whatever they do for the team. Personal integrity and ethical behavior is what bring their teams to the most accomplishment goals. They build their trust in that ethical behavior. But how do I consider personally what are the most important of those traits? For me, again, it's a combination of things. But a leader that empowers others to accomplish personal goals and contribute to completion of the goals of the teams are usually those that are high in my ranking. Along with that is those leaders that model the behavior of others. The behavior that others need to emulate is based on what they do. It's those leaders that do as I tell you, but they show you how to do things. And then the leaders that show integrity. Those leaders, in my mind, are the ones that are the best leaders in a team. But there is a misconception of a good manager will become a good leader. And not necessarily. There are two different things. They require two different traits. Leaders deals with people, either individually or in groups, and are also those who inspires others to follow them. They don't have to force anybody. Their leaders are the ones that people want to follow them. Managers plan, organize, facilitate, achieve specific goals or tasks. They are good at that too, but not necessarily leaders. Not every good manager is a good leader. So let's get into identifying leadership styles. So I mentioned before that there are many different types of leadership. There are actually 8 that are recognized by most of the authors in leadership. They are the authoritative, democratic, pace-setting, affiliative, coaching, altruistic, innovative, bureaucratic. Many different types, and they have the many different definitions. However, I really encourage you to take one of those leadership styles to find your own leadership style. There are many. Toastmaster has one that you can take in your leadership development courses. So I find out that my leadership style that I have taken the test in several times and occasions kind of changed with time. Also, again, depending on particular situation, depending on the teams that I'm dealing with, depending on what I'm working with them. But I really wanted to share with you that in the latest one that I have taken, there are 3 very clear defined groups. I have at the top 3, authoritative, democratic, and pace setting. I have a middle range of affiliative, coaching all the way to innovative, and I have a very low on bureaucratic. I guess I don't have bureaucratic leadership styles. But I want to share with you some of my personal styles and see if those who have been working with me for many years here through Toastmaster agree. I'm the type of leader that like long-term direction and focus on end goals. Maybe because of my age, I have most experience than most of the people in my teams. I found out that common normally. But I really like to work on teams or in projects where I can change directions when a vision is required that I can enforce. Also, I like to rely on consensus and decision making. I like to rely on communication and collaborative work from my team members. And most effective when I'm working on situations that require common work to solve the problems. And finally, on my pace setting type of style, I like to focus on productivity. I like to focus on setting high standards of performance for myself and my group. And I like to work with groups that are self-motivated and highly skilled. So you can see that my leadership style is not one only. It's not unique. It depends on many of my experiences in life. And to finish, I would like to bring to your attention that as a leader, you have to know yourself. You have to know what type of leadership style you have. You have to understand also other different styles because you may have to accommodate them again to different projects, to different situations, to different teams, because your team may change during a project even, and you have to accommodate your style. And you have to practice. You have to practice all the styles, and you have to practice to find what works better in every situation. And finally, I want to say that leadership agility or leadership ability is something that you have to work on for your entire life. So in conclusion, your leadership is going to affect the situation that you are working with, the teams that you are working with, and the purpose that you have as a leader. And to finish my presentation, I just want to give you a question. What you think that is important to adapt your leadership style depending on the situations and the people that you are working with? Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmasters. Thank you for your attention. And I haven't been able to, oh, I guess it's here.
Okay, while Jorge is doing that, thank you, Jorge, for that wonderful speech. I mean, we all need that. And it's not something that we just needed yesterday. We need it now, we will need it tomorrow. Thank you so much for bringing it so powerfully, as always. With that said, Mr. Timer, can you please put 1 minute on the clock for people to be able to provide direct feedback to Jorge?
Okay.
To find the right one, I couldn't get it. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Our next speaker is going to be our Toastmaster of the evening. I've never done this before, but I'm going to try. It's going to be our Toastmaster of the evening because I was going to tell Mr. President to introduce me, but I forgot. So our next speaker has been with the Toastmasters since the fall of 2016. And he is currently working on the visionary communication part in Pathways. Tonight, Akin will be giving his level 2 speech, Understanding Your Communication Style, titled Your Word, a Weapon. Please help me welcome me as I deliver my speech tonight. Mr. Timer, please hold on. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, your word, a weapon. What is a weapon? Some people say a weapon is a thing designed or used for maybe inflicting bodily harm or physical damage. But that is not the only thing that a weapon actually does. A weapon is used to protect. Just as we hear these days in Russia and Ukraine. Now, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, have you ever said something that you wish you could take back? Has anyone spoken words that inspired you? Have you been addressed in a manner that demotivated you? I would say to you all tonight, unfortunately, I have actually been each of those three. I have said things that I thought or I wished I could take back. People have spoken words into my life that inspired me, and I've been addressed in a manner that demotivated me. And I've addressed people too in a manner that demotivated them. Growing up, I was counseled and taught by my late father to be conscious of what I say, why I say it, when I say it, how I say it, and to whom I say it. Have I done all that the way he taught me to do it consistently all the time? No. But I am work in progress. And I love what Susan said earlier. She said, tiptoe if you must, but keep moving. I love that. And I'm here tonight to tell you, irrespective of where you are in your life with respect to the use of words, look for opportunity each day to tiptoe if you must, crawl if you must, walk if that's all you can do, but keep moving. Keep improving yourself. Keep looking for every exiguous opportunity for you to be better today than you were yesterday. I remember my dad once took me on a trip out of town to go and talk to one of his friends who had just lost his wife. And I'll never forget in my life, my dad used a lot of impactful metaphors as we spoke, as we commiserated with this man when we got to his house. I can't really interpret a number of those metaphors right now because he spoke to him in my local Western Nigerian language called Yoruba, or Yoruba to pronounce it right. But all I can tell you is that he spoke using impactful metaphors and his tone was perfect for that moment. And those were two of the things that I learned that day. But aside from those, I also learned that in order for you to be able to speak the right way, you need to learn to listen with rapt attention. You need to be tactful, use tact, even as you engage other people. And then the last but not the least is be diplomatic, but do not lie. There are many people who are diplomatic today in the use of their words, but they lie. That shouldn't be you. Tonight, I am here to talk to you about, or share with you rather, 4 key ways in which you should consider in order to be able to make sure that you use the right words, you choose the right words so that your words, hopefully, depending on the situation, is impactful. Number 1, be concise. I tend to be verbose in my addressing people, and I'm learning every day. And I keep reminding myself that what did I do yesterday? How can I do that better today? Be concise. And I'm just going to use one example here. I came to the realization that instead of simply putting it, I realized that it's very important. Number 2, avoid repetitive ideas. A good example would be Joe thought to himself, I think I'll make caramelized grilled salmon tonight. Let's keep it simple. Joe thought, I think I'll make caramelized grilled salmon tonight. Just avoid repetitive words as much as possible. And I understand too that there's another school of thought that repetition is the law of lasting impression. Just do yourself a favor in that wise. Then the next one, remove repeated words. Just like the student who won cooking contest is a very talented and ambitious student. Student, not necessary. And the last but not the least is eliminate unneeded words. Many a time we say things that are not necessary. How do you do that? Just imagine, just use the words that are necessary for that moment. Do not use the words that are unnecessary. I mean, I've gotten examples here, and that's why I'm sharing this slide. Now, with that said, what are those two things that I really want to encourage you all tonight? In Toastmasters, we have opportunities to learn. And one of that opportunity is join Toastmasters if you haven't. Sign up in Pathways if you haven't. It's very important for you. It's very important for our club so that we can continue to grow. And then the last but not the least, have the desire to grow yourself, no matter how exiguous that growth may be. Drive yourself. Don't wait for somebody to drive you. And please, please, and please, do yourself a big favor. Remember that the bridge between goals and accomplishment is discipline. Be disciplined. If you know that you didn't do something right yesterday, look for an opportunity to do it better today. Remember, your word is a weapon, and it's something that you need to treat carefully. You need to handle it with care, as they say. I'd like you to be able to walk away tonight with the mind that, okay, who am I really in the area of spoken word? What can I do to be better? I don't know what you can do. I know what I can do, which I'm doing to be better. But I'm going to leave you with that question. What is it that I should do to be better in the way I choose my word? Back to me, Mr. Toastmaster. So with that said, please, let's spend for us as a club. So thank you very much. With that said, I'm going to move on now to table topics. And we've got our very own Toastmaster, Akin Dube, who is going to be leading us in a session of thoughtful table topics. We know her already. Please join me in putting your hands together for our table topics master tonight, Toastmaster Akin Dube. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmasters. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and friends. The table topics portion of the meeting is designed to help you work on your ability to organize your thoughts quickly by responding to impromptu questions. I really would like to encourage you to participate as I ask them aligned questions. First question is encouraged to those project management team members. And first question is, project management is about managing the progress of a project, leading the work of a team to achieve all project goals within given constraints and sometimes exiguous resources. Could you please share your top 3 tips that have made your role in project management a success? Is there anybody that wants to volunteer in answering this question?
What was the question again?
Project management is about managing the progress of a project, leading the team to achieve all project goals within given constraints and sometimes exiguous resources. Could you please share your top 3 tips that have made your role in project management a success? Okay, is it okay if I volunteer someone?
Absolutely, please go ahead.
Yes, Jorge, would you like to take this question?
Yeah, no problem. Okay. So really in project management, there is everybody knows about the triangle of scope, time or schedule, and cost. That is very important because if you want to increase the scope, you either have to change your schedule or you have to change your budget. Add more money, reduce more money, add more time, reduce more time. Those three variables are always in conjunction with each other. If you change one, you have to adjust the other two. However, in my latest year of experience as a project manager, I have realized that every time is more and more important, the monetary portion of project management, the budget. And not even the budget that you create when you scope a project, but also the profit on the project, especially if you work in private industry. So for me, the focus of project management has changed importantly from not only having to provide a good quality result, achieve it in a given scope of time, but also being able to produce it not only within their budget. I mean, it's good if you produce or you complete your project within under budget, but also that you are able to achieve profits on the project. And that shift in project management, I noticed it in the last, I would say 10 to 15 years, for me has changed project management completely. Thank you very much, Mrs. Toastmaster.
Great job, Jorge. That was a really great response. Thank you so much. The second question is, do you think there's ever a time to stop calculating risk and reward and just do what you know is right? Do you think there is ever a time to stop calculating risk and reward and just do what you think is right? Is there anyone that wants to take this one? Benay, would you like to take a shot at this one?
Sure. Thank you, Kim. So, yes, there are times when you start calculating risk. In the role that I'm in as a project manager in the healthcare industry, that's actually a very good question. And it is also something that most of us project managers in healthcare are always looking at. Because at the end of the day, patient care always comes first. And so when you're thinking about budget, when you're thinking about timeline, it's not about that as much as it is the impact it's going to have on your end product, and that is your patient, and that's patient care. So that question really is a good one for the industry that I'm in. So there's times when, oh, we're going to have this time, we need to make this deadline, we have to make this budget. But if that budget means that I am having to perhaps shortcut a particular process, let's say validating exams coming into my system that is used to analyze patient data, I want to make sure that we are taking the time necessary to analyze that patient data and that we're producing good results, because at the end of the day, your physician using that data might make the wrong call because that wasn't done properly. And so at those times, you have to make sure that you've done that properly and forego budget and schedule at times, because the end product is patient care. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much, Benay. Mr. Toastmaster and timer, do we have time for one more question?
Unfortunately not, but I would say go for it if they can do it really quickly. I don't want to miss out on that question.
Okay, thank you so much. Mara or Tracy, would you like to participate on that one? Whichever of you is comfortable answering, please feel free to unmute yourself. Pretend for a second that you're part of a team that is having difficulties making progress, and as a result, the team is having a really hard time meeting its performance goals because of frustrations that team members have towards the team leader's character flaw. Could you share how you would address this flaw with the team lead, even if it meant offending this team leader, but at the gain of the entire team? Mara or Tracy, I would like to encourage you to try, but I would like to tell you that there is no wrong or right answer. If you are comfortable answering, please unmute. If not, I will see if I can select somebody else. Ukpai, would you like to give it a shot?
As Mr. Ogbemudia, would you like to answer the question?
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
Table topic, Master. So, in my opinion, when I have a such, we have problem in the group and that need to be resolved, then I would take it directly to the lead, to the team lead, and let the team lead know what if it's the team lead action, whatever the team he or she is doing that is not right. You confront them and let them know that this thing is not good for the team and is setting the project back. Just let them know the truth and tell them straightforward. Just like Toastmaster, the engineer, I can't pronounce his name, says, you just have to be straightforward in letting them know that in order for this project to move forward, then we need to reevaluate. If need be, it could be to reevaluate our action and try to work together to move forward. Talking to them and bringing the group together, talking among ourselves to resolve the issue in the lowest level possible in a way that we all can work together. That's why.
Great job. Thank you so much for taking a stab at that one. I just want to thank you everyone for participating and for being here today. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Akin Dube. Can we give her a big round of applause, please, for all those thoughtful questions? Thank you very much. Very quickly now, I'm going to introduce a general evaluator who is going to coordinate the evaluation of the speeches. Over to you, Toastmaster Rafia Safi.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. So we are going to enter our third section of the meeting, and that's the evaluation. And the first speech was done by Taylor, and his topic was powering through perception. And Taylor, your long and successful journey is not the result of exiguous effort, and the results show. For evaluating your speech, I would like to invite our president. Ukpai Kalu. Ukpai Kalu, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Taylor, thank you so much for the inspiring speech you delivered tonight. I've been really, really inspired, and I believe many people in this meeting are also inspired. Tonight, I'm going to evaluate you by looking at what you did well and where you need to improve. First, there was an introduction which set the ball rolling. People knew who was going to speak and what the person was going to speak on. And that opened up the audience for people to know and to hear you. I think that was a good one. Also, you started and you were able to show vulnerability. Many a times we come up without showing any area of being vulnerable. But you were vulnerable, you were able to show your weakness or areas you struggled with and how you were able to overcome it. And I think that was a good one. You were clear enough, clarity. Your vocal variety was really excellent. You had the command of the word, and I think that was also good. Your speech was kind of showing what was and where you are and what difference it makes. And I think that kind of persuasive approach was really a good approach to have adopted. And I think it fits this message you were trying to deliver. We also used the word of the day. And there's a word, a phrase you use, which I think is something that is also good in a time, in a topic like this you have handled. Stand for others. And when you said that word and this topic you are handling, I think there could not be any other thing than standing for others. Your mom was there for you, and you now have overcome, and you are standing for others. I think it was a great thing, and I want to encourage you to keep it on. Is there anything you could improve? Being the timer, when I look and I know you had so many things you wanted to say, I think maybe next time it could be better for you. Try during your practice to time yourself so that when you're delivering your speech, you'll be able to restrict yourself within that time. Other than that, it was a beautiful speech, well delivered, having a very great content. Thank you, Taylor. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Ukpai. Thank you so much for the evaluation. Our second speaker was Jorge. Jorge, his speech topic was understanding your leadership style. And as I said before, our team is working hard. It's not the exiguous amount of work that they are doing. So for evaluating Mr. Jorge Alba, I would like to invite our Toastmaster of the day, Akin Oni.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Jorge Alba, what a pleasure, what a privilege to evaluate you. And when you talk about, when you deliver a speech on leadership, you know that is my passion. And I've never, ever had enough of leadership talk. In fact, that's why I tell people I'm very obsessed with respect to anything that has to do with leadership. So thank you so much. This is about you. And I'm going to use the 3, 2, and 1 methodology for evaluating you tonight. The 3 things that I noticed that you did well, 2 things that you should consider as areas requiring improvement, and then of course 1 standout. I may mix it up a little bit, just giving you a heads up because I find it really difficult to find 2 things that you need to improve on. So just giving you a heads up, but I'm using 3, 2, 1. The 3 things. Number 1, you start with great leaders have great leadership style. If you want to really draw your audience in, you can come up with a phrase or a quote that you know will stand out. You can ask a question. You know, there are different ways of doing it, but you did that and you did it really well. Thank you so much for starting just with that. And then the second thing that you did well that I like is the structure. Your speech had structure, and I really appreciate that. I mean, for example, you talked about attributes of a successful leader. You talked about being a good communicator, leading by example, empowering others, optimistic, open-minded, and then you hit us finally with integrity. And I am a fan of that. Integrity, open-mindedness. Those are attributes of a great leader. And these are nuggets that we're not just here chewing, but we actually take it away with us. Thank you so much for that. And then the third thing there is more around how you deliver speeches. You deliver a speech in a believable manner, non-pretentious. I really appreciate that. 2 things that you should improve upon. Number 1 is maybe you could limit the number of slides. And then number 2 is maybe you should consider reducing the number of slides. So it's essentially 1 thing, but I'm saying it twice. And then what is 1 standout for me? Again, you are becoming a pocket speaker. Remember, you got my invite and you say, Akin, you want a speech or you want me to be a functionary? I said speech and you delivered it. Thank you so much, my friend. What a speech. Well done.
Thank you, Akin.
Thank you, Akin, for your wonderful evaluation. Our third speaker is our own Toastmaster, Mr. Akin. And for his evaluation, I'm going to invite our second speaker, Mr. Jorge Alba.
Thank you very much, Mrs. General Evaluator. So I got also the privilege to provide review for our Toastmaster and speaker. And I'm going to use tonight the content, connection, and delivery for Akin. Again, starting with your title, Akin, your word, a weapon. It's a short title, but it's full of energy. It's full of, it's not exiguous title. It has a lot of cake. Your delivery, impeccable. You really deliver in a great way. You believe what you are saying. You know what you are saying. You understand what you are saying, and you are convincing. But you are convincing in a very relaxed way. You attract the attention of everybody that listens to you. And at the end of your presentation, everybody is thinking exactly like you. On the connection, you look at the camera like if you were talking to me, or I guess to everybody of us in here. I feel like this was a speech that you prepared for me, one-on-one. You use your hand gestures perfectly, the way your body shows in the camera. Again, it looks natural. It looks like you and I are sitting next to each other, and that we are just having a conversation. And you have a very good change of the way you move your eyes away from the camera and back into the camera, kind of like bringing a little bit of attention out of you and then back to you. I feel that that's very relaxing, because it's not like you are very directed, but at the same time, you kind of feel, make the people feel confident when they are seeing you present. And then finally, on the content. Very interesting topic, but very interesting way that you choose to present it. Again, making a discussion about how words can be related as weapons, and how you use language to get things the way you want. Looking for opportunities to improve. Speaking in metaphors, as you say. And at the end, you brought 4 things to consider. I think that was very important, but it's something we take away with us at the end of the speech. So altogether, impeccable speech. Thank you very much, Akin.
Thank you, Jorge. Thank you, Jorge, for the great evaluation. And thank you all evaluators for great job done.